Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have seen this picture. It is of an individual that is sitting on his victim and he has slashed his face, neck and back. This took place about a day ago in Northern Ireland, more specifically Belfast, and the perpetrator has been charged with attempted murder. However, on the far-right political spectrum, they were demanding to know the ethnicity, the migrant status of this individual, more specifically Rupert Lowe.
I now call for the police with full transparency to disclose the ethnicity and immigration status of the person who perpetrated the attack.
So immediately, before the patriots react, they have to know the immigration status and ethnicity of the attacker. If it's an ethnicity or migrant status of somebody that they're okay with, then no rights, yeah? If it is somebody that they are unhappy with, then that's it. We're going to take to the streets. Seems a very selective outrage-based reaction, yeah? So, because they found out, initially, however, it was falsely reported by the likes of the New York Post and the police. Initially, they said it was a Somali individual. It later transpired he was Sudanese. So until it transpired that he was Sudanese, the Somalis were getting it in the back, right? So what did the patriots do? They went to the migrant areas and they started smashing bits up. Here's how they're going to get their country back. You can see Turkish barbers. Yeah, this guy won't be cutting any more hair for the next week. Yeah, while he gets his window fixed. And then, of course, he's going to be back doing what he normally does, yeah? No more shaving, mate, yeah? No more waxing the ears. You guys have saved the UK. That's what you've done, mate. These are true patriots right here. Here you guys can see they burnt a tram. How is that gonna get your country back? It's gonna take your tax money to clean up that mess and to get another one funded. This is what happens when you allow people that think GCSE is a type of medicine.
If you bear with us as we just come through here, you can just imagine the scene last night. A family sitting in there, watching television, enjoying their evening.
They burnt down buses, cars. You saw a tram there. In fact, the fire services attended 62 incidents. Who's paying for those, mate? It's gonna be you. If you're employed, that is, and they haven't taken all your jobs, that money's going to go for the taxes. If you're not working, you're just going to be at the job center, right? You're just going to be relying on the migrants whose houses you're burning because they're paying the taxes so you can get your job seekers allowance. Now, ironically, this is a native Irishman whose house got burnt.
Let's just stood right over there and watch the whole house go up.
How are you feeling about that?
I've lost a home, man. 13 years out here. And that's...
James has been living here for 13 years. And because of some morons that got incited by Elon Musk and Tommy bloody Robinson, this guy doesn't have a home. He's probably gonna have to go back to work, pay for the buses and the trams and the emergency services that you guys exploited yesterday.
Gone. The house is wrecked, man. The whole house is completely destroyed. From top to bottom, it's literally all gone.
And did you see footage of, you were standing across the road watching it happen?
I seen the car was here even before it went up. It was a real car and I seen him lighting it and I told him, this is my house, this is my house. I knew it was going to catch fire. And
so they were setting fire to the car, but then clearly then...
These guys... So Belfast burning tonight as disorder spreads across the city. You can see these guys setting things alight. Look at that. They were told to stay masked up, not to bring their phones. So obviously the reality would not be displayed. However, what about the next day? Chucking wheelie bins through people's windows. How is that you taking your country back? By destroying someone's window. By destroying a Turkish barber, by lighting a bunch of things on fire. I just don't get it. All those police that had to attend that scene, they have to be paid using taxpayers' money. Look at him, he's a true patriot right there, standing in the middle of the road, mate. He's been shut down, covering his face, Disgrace. Like in a tram on fire. Look at them. The country is now theirs, mate. Or look at that BMW. He's had enough of that. He's just flipping German, mate. Look at these masked people, mate. Yeah, what were they saying about pro-Palestinian marches? Show your faces. Why are you guys ashamed? Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't that long ago, was it? What's going on over here? Imagine if the pro-Palestinians did that. I'd say deport these guys. Yeah? Deport them. You're thinking, where? They're native Irishmen. They're native Englishmen. Deport them back to Mars. That's where they're from, mate. Yeah? Back to Mars and back to flipping Venus.
Back at the Clockfern roundabout.
More expenses, yeah? The helicopter there you guys saw. That's it. You got your country back right there. That's all that needed to be done. Set a couple of Volvos on fire. Masked guys there. Whoa, they're gonna smash up. They're gonna chuck a couple of wheelie bins in a couple of windows. Ooh, look at that. Look at, that plank of wood and that stone. Ooh. When it comes to the Palestinians, they were justifying a genocide because they were saying 8-year-old kids were chucking rocks and stones. What are you saying over here now? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. So this is CBS News.
Graffiti and signs up saying anti-Islam things.
So they picked up on the anti-Islamic rhetoric. The Sham supermarket. Guys, you're going too far with this stuff. Explain this to me. How is stopping somebody getting their spuds and getting their tomatoes and their strawberries, how is that getting your country back? I don't get it. Look at that. An absolute mess. Now this was the street that was identified as a street in which quite a few migrants live. So, in essence, this was attempted murder. That's what it was. There were families there. There were people saying that we had to leave with our kids, and they could see kids leaving. Look at that, a stroller there. The doors burnt down. That's a pram. That's a pram. A brick through someone's window. Destroying someone's car. Yobbish behavior from low IQ people. Yeah, people going, what is this achieving? So are you saying if you're unhappy with the way things are being handled, then it's okay for the general public to do this? Are you saying this as a general rule? Let's just say the Brits are living in Spain and a Brit does something to a Spanish individual. Are you saying the Spaniards can now go on streets in which the Brits are living and do this? Is that okay? Similarly, Brits that are committing PDF crimes in the Gambia. British sex offenders and PDFs have historically targeted the Gambia as a low-profile location for child SE. Now, does that mean the Gambians can now go to where the Brits are living, smash up their windows, go after their kids, burn the buses that are around that area, make it a hostile environment for them? Does it make it okay? How about if we look at the Brits that are in Thailand committing crimes over there? Can the people of Thailand do the same thing? Because you got to be consistent, right? Look at that. British child abuser guilty of 45 crimes against Thai and UK children. That's mental. You got to be consistent. Are you telling the world this is how you deal with your issues? I thought you were supposed to be civilizing the people. I thought you were supposed to be the superior people, not the inferior shithole countries like Trump talks about.
And I say, why is it we only take people from shithole countries?
How your people are saying, yeah, our culture is more superior. Okay, then should we mimic this? It's going to cause global disorder. Doesn't matter who you are. Yeah, the Polish know that, you know what? We can't exclude ourselves from this because 10 years ago, they were doing the same thing to us.
The claim that English people love Polish people is a complete lie. They absolutely don't love us. They just found a new enemy. They just say that because we're white. They have a new enemy now, and I hear all the lies. I hear all the accusations that I've heard towards us 15, 20 years ago, now being thrown towards other groups of migrants, that we don't work, that we're claiming all the benefits, which is kind of contradictory because it's one or the other. That we're
Yeah,
dirty.
so this guy gets it. Yeah, he's Polish, but he gets it. Same thing that I was saying about the Sikh thing. Just because, yeah, there was a time that the Muslims were getting it, some Sikhs were jumping on the bandwagon and throwing us under the bus. Alhamdulillah, our people have more common sense and we're not throwing the Sikhs under the bus. And the black people in that area also noticed it as well.
Yo, V, you're a black Irish content creator. You come on and you post a video. You open your comments. What do you see? Go back to your own country. You proceed to scroll down a little bit more. You begin to see, you're not Irish. You'll never be Irish. You say, okay, cool. I'll leave it off for 10 minutes and I'll come back and check if there's any...
That guy got it. And I saw another woman that was saying on that day she was just coming home and people entered the train and calling her the N-word.
Just because I'm not currently out in the street yelling racial slurs at people, burning who I believe to be immigrants out of their houses and burning infrastructure doesn't mean...
That's a very good point, yeah? Because these people were trying to discern and find out who the migrants were. You can't ask the person, so you base it upon appearance. So in other words, somebody who is non-white.
That I am not disgusted by the violence incited. In Nazi Germany, Hitler enforced the idea that a family or a clan shared the responsibility for a crime or an act committed by one of its members, which then justified its collective punishment. Are we really going to start acting like Hitler and blame and incite violence on a whole ethnic minority group over the action of one? I want to address this from my perspective as a woman, because whenever incidents like this occur, I seem to just keep hearing the same tired justification put forward. It's always they come here and they rape our women and we need to protect our women and children, and they're inciting violence on our women and children.
Listen to this.
Let's make one thing clear. As a young woman living in the north, I do not fear men based on their religion, ethnicity or gender. I fear men as a whole. The North has one of the highest per capita femicide rates in the UK and Europe. Since 2020, around 30 women and girls have been violently killed by men. The overwhelming majority of these murders were committed by men known to the victims, so partners, family members, husbands.
Known to the victims.
Most of these attacks took place within the woman's own home. And I said this to my daddy today. If I walked out into that street tonight and a white man violently attacked me and left me for dead, not one of you people out in the street right now would even so much as lay a flower on my grave.
This woman woke up and chose to speak facts. Based on what she just said now, about no one coming there to even lay a flower, look what Rupert Lowe said. Rupert Lowe was asking for the ethnicity and the migrant status of the individual. That's what he was doing. So he's literally proven her right.
There now, people burnt out of their homes, cars on fire, buses on fire, damage to private and public property, migrant families left fucking terrified, homeless, probably hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage and cost to public services. For what? That man is still lying in a hospital bed, fighting for his life. Nobody feels any safer. Actually, I think there's probably one demographic of people who feel or felt a bit safer last night. The wives and girlfriends of those thugs out in the street probably got a break from being their main target for a day.
Damn! This is another woman that woke up and chose violence. Yeah, we gotta let the people of North Ireland speak for themselves.
And all I am seeing are stupid people justifying their own venom, muttering enough is enough into this echo chamber, fully believing that they're going to somehow impact migration policy by burning out a bus and dragging brown families out of their homes. All you have done is created headlines that will be discussed by fascists in the House of Commons. And if it does...
Says a pastor who has been helping those in houses targeted in tonight's violence, says people were being put out of their homes because they're black. Pastor Jake McKee was at the scene where multiple houses were on fire around the Crumlin Road in North Belfast. He says some members of his church who have been with us for 20 years were getting put out of their home, had their houses attacked, windows smashed, houses beside them burned. These are Christians. We already saw James get his house set on fire. And now people that have come to his church for 20 years, they're good Christian people and they're getting put out because they're black. He says, I'm doing my best to help them. This is not me saying that, right? You don't see me throwing around the racist word. So Taj Ali, he says, I've been speaking to a Muslim sister in Belfast. She tells me she knows of a dozen families, mainly Muslim, whose homes have been targeted by masked men checking cars for non-white people and knocking on doors where they know there are minority families and smashing their windows. Will this get the media attention and outrage that it deserves? Yeah, it's got a few condemnations here and there and people are talking about it, but frankly, this I think is more worse than what we saw in Southampton. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Very, very worrying and dystopian images that we're seeing, frankly. And that being said, people are also drawing comparisons with this individual, yeah? He was a Saudi student who was stabbed in the neck in an unprovoked and senseless murder by a guy that was high on drugs. Did we see people go to the streets? Should people have gone to the streets when this individual, unprovoked, he was stabbed in the neck? We know the story. So are you now teaching people when a crime is perpetrated by a demographic that you are unhappy with, then a certain type of extreme reaction is justified? That's the crux of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. That's why Rupert Lowe asked for the ethnicity and migrant status of the perpetrator. Ladies and gentlemen, enough said. Let's leave it there. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.